The first thing that we did was number sets. And I am going to give you a separate handout with just some set stuff like the second section is as well. But this was our number sets. And so it wanted you to draw the Venn diagram, which looks like this. And then it wanted you to place the number where it belongs. All right. And so the first one is 0.3 repeating. Decimals that repeat or terminate. Where do those go? In rational. So you would place your 0.3 repeating in your rational. The next one is -4. What is the smallest number set that starts with negative numbers? Your integers. And so you would put your -4 here for the integers. Square root of 7. Any radical that does not simplify, is going to be irrational. So you would put your square root of 7 there. Or set theory. They've given us set A, B, and C here. And then they've given us some notation. So you're going to have to remember your notation. Remember that what looks like this is union. Right? When it looks like that, it is intersection. Remember, we have our subset. And we have something, and it is an element of. So even though these two didn't deal with those are some more notations that we talked about, okay? So the first thing is A, and they want intersect B. Intersect means whatever crosses over. So you're only going to list the numbers that show up in both sets. In this case, it was just one number that showed up in both sets, 2. That is intersection, where they cross each other. Union means all the numbers between the two sets. You don't repeat it, though, if they cross. So B and C, we're going to look at B or C here. And every single number that's listed, you would list in this union set. You'll notice it's listed from least to greatest. And you'll also notice they don't repeat. -1 is in B. It's also in C, but they didn't list it twice. Okay? The elements are just listed one time, but it's every single element that goes either or of those. All right, some more terms that we talked about. Length of the segment and midpoint of the segment. Remember, length is just the absolute value when you subtract the 2. That is length. It is always going to be positive. Midpoint is what happens when you add the 2 and divide. You're just taking the average, but that is going to be the midpoint. So those are the two things you need to remember when it asks for these. If you subtract those and take the absolute value, you would get 34. Whether you do -12 minus 22, you would get -34, but you're taking absolute value. Or if you subtract the other way, you would get 22 minus a -12, positive 34 absolute value. Add them. -12 and 20 plus 22 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. All right. Midpoint is not absolute value, so midpoint could be negative. All right, but length can never be negative. Evaluate simply means give me the answer. Okay, that's all evaluate means here. If you have absolute value, you will want to do those first. So for this one, absolute value of -9 minus absolute value of -4. Then you have a simple subtraction, 9 minus 4. When you do the next one, remember, just apply your rules. Different signs, subtract and keep the sign of the larger. 5 minus 3 is 2. My 5 was negative, so that is a -2. All right? You will have multiplication and division. All right, so don't get caught up in your addition and subtraction and think this one is a subtraction. This one's not. This is a multiplication. You'll notice that it's a parentheses. It's really just parentheses letting you know that it is not subtraction, okay? If there were no parentheses there, this would be subtraction, okay? But because there's parentheses, we're actually multiplying these. Since we are multiplying them, we do not need a common denominator. A lot of you on your quiz got a common denominator and multiplied, which is fine, but you're just making bigger numbers that you have to then reduce at the end, right? So you don't have to have a common denominator when you're multiplying and dividing. That is only for addition and subtraction. But what I would do is I would first say, is my answer going to be positive or negative here? Positive. 2 negatives. Anytime you have an even number of negatives and you're multiplying or dividing, your answer is going to be positive, all right? So then I just have to worry about the numbers. 1 over 12 times 4 over 5. With multiplication, I'm going to see if I can cross cancel. Can I cross cancel? I can. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Once I've done that, you just multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 5 is 15. If you cross-canceled, you should not have to reduce. Positive 1/15 is my answer there. Properties of exponents. So remember, if you have like bases, so say my bases are the same, and I am multiplying, I am going to add those exponents. If I have like bases and I am dividing, I am going to subtract those exponents. If I have a power to a power, I am going to multiply those. And then we have some special cases. Anything to the 0 power is 1, and anything to the negative power just changes where it is. In this case, it's in a numerator type position, so it puts it in the denominator. It does not change the positive or the negative. All right? So this first one, I am multiplying like bases. So you should have added those exponents, 8 to the 15th power. For this second one, I am taking a power to a power. So you should have multiplied those powers, 3 to the 24th. This is order of operations, which we had a handout on. Remember, parentheses or grouping is always first. Exponents is next. Multiplication and division, you just do left to right, not one before the other. Addition and subtraction, you also do left to right. All right? If you have multiple groupings, you're going to work inside out. And if you have numerator, denominator, those are naturally a grouping, even if there's no grouping symbol. Okay? So within my grouping, I would do order of operations. So I'm going to leave this 6. I'm going to leave that 2. I'm going to do my order of operations here. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Again, I'm still going to work that parentheses, 3 and 8. And now I just have all my parentheses are gone. I don't have any exponents. I'm going to move. I've already done this. I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to do multiplication and division from left to right. So 2 times 11, 6 times 4. And then I'm just going to go across. All right. You can do adding the opposite if you want to. It doesn't matter. Or you can just subtract across. 6 minus 22. You can think of it like this. A negative 22 and a positive 6. A negative 24. So if you wanted to, you could add those negatives first and then just subtract the 6. Either way, you're going to get negative 40 when you go all the way across here. This is going to be negative 46, right? And 6. Once you change it all to addition, you can do it in whatever order you want if it's all addition. Because remember, our property says that all addition, you can add whatever order you want to. So if you change it to adding the opposite, you can arrange those however you want. If you don't, just go left to right. Addition and subtraction, however it comes to you.